I've spent 60 years on this river, and I'm still here. That alone tells you something. I've seen young men come to the Amazon with confidence, with plans, with equipment. Most of them leave within a year. Some of them don't leave at all. The difference between those who stay and those who don't isn't strength. It isn't courage. It isn't even luck. It's knowing what the forest is trying to tell you. My name doesn't matter. What matters is what I've learned, what I've seen, what river people taught me over decades of listening. These aren't rules you'll find in any guidebook. They're not written down anywhere. They're passed along quietly, from one person to another, usually after something happens that makes you understand why they matter. I'm going to share some of them with you now. Not because I think you'll need them. Most people watching this will never set foot in the Amazon. But because these rules aren't really about the forest. They're about paying attention, about respect, about understanding that some things are bigger than you. The Amazon just happens to be very good at teaching that lesson. Let me start with something simple. Never camp under a Brazil nut tree. I learned this my second week on the river. I was 19 years old, thought I knew everything. An old Tikuna man saw where I'd set up my hammock. He didn't say much, just pointed up, then pointed at my head, then walked away. I moved my hammock. That night, around 3 a.m., I heard something fall. It sounded like a gunshot, then a crash. A Brazil nut pod had fallen exactly where my hammock had been. The pod was the size of a coconut, hard as stone. It had fallen from maybe 40 meters up. It would have killed me. The old man never mentioned it again. Didn't need to. That's how most of these rules get taught, quietly, once. Here's another one. If the forest goes silent, you stop moving. Not because something is hunting you, not always, but because something has noticed you, and you need to let it decide what to do next. I was walking through secondary forest one afternoon. Hot day. I was thinking about getting back to my boat, not paying attention. Then I realized I couldn't hear anything. No birds, no insects, no wind in the leaves. Complete silence. I stopped walking, stood completely still. I waited maybe 5 minutes. Felt like an hour. Then I heard it. A low sound, almost a vibration more than a sound. A jaguar walked across the trail about 20 meters ahead of me. Female, maybe 90 kilograms. She didn't look at me, didn't acknowledge me at all. She crossed the trail and disappeared into the undergrowth. The forest sounds came back slowly. First the insects, then the birds. If I'd kept walking, I would have surprised her. And surprising a jaguar is not something you want to do. The silence saved me, because I knew to listen to it. Never drink from still water. This one seems obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people forget it when they're thirsty. I've seen water that looked perfect, clear, cool, in a beautiful pool surrounded by rocks. A Brazilian photographer drank from a pool like that. He'd filtered it, thought he was being careful. He got sick anyway. Spent 3 days with fever so bad he couldn't stand. It wasn't bacteria. It wasn't parasites. It was something the water had leached from the soil. Some mineral or compound we still don't have a name for. The forest has poisons that science hasn't catalogued yet. Toxins that don't show up in any guidebook. River people know this. We drink from running water only. From streams that move, that flow. If water sits still in the Amazon, there's usually a reason nothing else is drinking from it. Don't fish at certain spots after dark. Every stretch of river has places where you just don't fish at night. Ask the locals where. They'll tell you. They won't always tell you why, but they'll tell you where. I asked once. I was young, curious. An old fisherman looked at me for a long time. Then he said, because people who fish there at night sometimes don't come back. What takes them? I asked. He shrugged. The river. That's all he said. The river. I never fished those spots at night. I've lived 60 years because I learned when not to ask why. If you see a dolphin acting strange, get out of the water. Pink river dolphins are usually curious, playful. They'll swim near boats. Sometimes they'll follow you for hours. But sometimes they act different, erratic, aggressive. When they do, you get out of the water immediately. I saw this happen once. A group of tourists were swimming near their boat. A dolphin appeared, started circling them. Too fast, too close. The guide started yelling, told everyone to get in the boat. Now, one of the tourists argued, said the dolphin was just playing. The guide physically pulled him into the boat. 10 minutes later, a caiman surfaced exactly where they'd been swimming. Big one, maybe 4 meters long. The dolphin had been trying to warn them, or maybe herding them. Either way, it knew something they didn't. The guide told me later that dolphins can sense electrical fields in the water. They know when predators are nearby before humans do. I don't know if that's true, but I know the tourists got out of the water, and I know they were alive to tell the story. Never touch the trees with smooth bark. Some trees in the Amazon have bark that looks inviting, smooth, clean, almost polished. Don't touch them. Many of them secrete oils or resins that cause burns, rashes that last for weeks. Some cause worse. I learned this watching a logger. He grabbed a tree to steady himself, started screaming within seconds. His hand looked like it had been dipped in acid. The tree was called Mata Paulo, tree killer. It grows by strangling other trees, and it protects itself with chemicals that burn like fire. River people learn to recognize these trees. We teach our children to keep their hands to themselves in the forest, because the forest doesn't warn you, it just reacts. If the water smells wrong, trust your nose. I can't explain this one scientifically, but I know it's true. Sometimes the river smells different, not bad, just wrong. When it does, you don't swim in it, you don't wash in it, you don't even let it touch your skin if you can help it. I've smelled it maybe a dozen times in 60 years. Each time, I stayed away from the water. I never learned what causes it. Algae bloom, chemical runoff, something dying upstream. Doesn't matter what causes it. What matters is the smell tells you to stay away. And if you're smart, you listen. Watch where the animals won't go. In the forest, there are spots where you never see animals. No tracks, no signs. Nothing lives there. Could be the soil, could be something in the water, could be something we don't understand. Doesn't matter. If the animals avoid it, you avoid it too. I made camp once in a clearing that seemed perfect. Flat ground, near water, protected from wind. An old Caboclo man saw my camp. He shook his head. "Nothing lives here," he said. "There's a reason." I looked around. He was right. No insects, no birds, no tracks in the mud. I moved my camp. I don't know what was wrong with that spot. I never went back to find out. But I know the animals knew something I didn't. And I know I'm still alive because I trusted them. If someone offers you their fire, you accept it. This isn't about survival. It's about respect. In the Amazon, fire is precious. Keeping one going in the wet season is hard work. If someone shares their fire with you, they're sharing more than heat. They're sharing safety, company, trust. You don't refuse that. I've been offered fire by people who had almost nothing, who were hungry, who were struggling themselves. And every time, I accepted, and I shared what I had in return. This is how you survive the Amazon. Not alone, not by being tough or prepared. You survive by being part of a community, by respecting the unspoken agreements that keep everyone alive. The forest is too big for one person, too dangerous, too unpredictable, but together, with knowledge passed down through generations, you have a chance. Never promise the forest anything. I've heard people make promises to the forest, promises to protect it, promises to respect it, promises to return. Don't do that. The forest doesn't need your promises. It was here long before you. It will be here long after. What it needs is your attention, your humility, your willingness to learn. I've spent 60 years here. I've learned more than most, and I still don't understand it. Every year, I see something new, something that doesn't fit with what I thought I knew. The Amazon is not a puzzle to be solved. It's not a challenge to be conquered. It's a living thing, ancient, complex, indifferent to human ambition. The best thing you can do is watch, listen, try not to harm what you don't understand. And if you're lucky, the forest will let you stay. That's really what all these rules come down to. The forest is letting you stay. It can change its mind at any time. These rules aren't about controlling the Amazon. They're about understanding that you're a guest here. And guests who overstay their welcome, who take too much, who disrespect their host, they don't last long. I've lasted 60 years because I learned to be a good guest. I've watched, I've listened, I've taken only what I needed. And most importantly, I've learned when to trust what I don't understand. When the old Tikuna man told me to move my hammock, I didn't ask why. I just moved it. When the forest went silent, I didn't push forward. I waited. When the water smelled wrong, I didn't test it. I trusted my instincts. These rules saved my life, over and over, in ways I'll never fully know, because the Amazon doesn't explain itself. It just gives you chances. And if you're wise enough to take them, you survive. If you're not, you become a story, a warning, another name that people mention quietly around fires. He didn't know about the Brazil nut trees. She swam where the dolphins were acting strange. They camped where the animals wouldn't go. I don't want to be one of those stories. So I learned, I listened, I remembered, and now I'm passing these lessons to you. Not because I think you'll need them in the Amazon, but because these lessons work everywhere. Pay attention to what the world is trying to tell you. Respect what you don't understand. Trust the people who've been there longer than you. Watch where others won't go. Learn to hear the silences. These aren't just rules for surviving the Amazon. They're rules for surviving anywhere. The Amazon just happens to teach them very clearly. I've heard many stories like these over the years. Lessons learned the hard way. Knowledge passed down through generations. I wonder if you have stories like this too. Moments when you learned to trust what you couldn't explain. When you listened to a warning you didn't fully understand. Share your story in the comments. I read every one. The Amazon taught me that the best knowledge isn't found in books. It's found in the scars on an old fisherman's hands, in the way someone sets up camp without thinking, in the spots where people won't swim and won't tell you why. Real knowledge is earned, quietly, over time, by paying attention to what everyone else ignores. I'm 60 years older than when I arrived on this river. 60 years of lessons, of watching, of learning when to act and when to wait. And the most important lesson, the Amazon doesn't care if you understand it. It just cares if you respect it. Everything else follows from that. The river is calling. The forest is watching. And if you're quiet enough, you can hear what it's trying to say.